Yes, indeed. We are live. Yes, don't find it as a shocker. Yes, in the daytime, we carrying it so many different ways. But we appreciate everybody tuning in here at the Reentry Connect podcast, Mental Health Impact with Miss Baiba. Yes, a therapist well known over in the Chicago area. She's doing a lot within the reentry sector, doing a lot of different housing and different groups and programs for people, and we're going to hear a little bit of what she has to say with concerning the mental health of individuals that leads to certain behavior issues, that leads to certain crimes out here in the world. But Ms. Bible, we thank you so much for having you, and I want to pronounce that last name, but woo, that's kind of hard for me. But Ms. Bible, if you can go ahead and share who you are and where you're from, and let us know what brings you to the mental health field?
Yeah, hello everyone. Yeah, my name is Baiba Davyenkovas. I know it's really hard. I am from Latvia. I started my mental health career there as a social worker, as a bachelor. So I did work in kids shelter. So the system in Latvia is a little bit different. We don't really practice the foster families. I think that part is just starting in that country. So yes, I used to work there, and then I moved back here. I got my master degree, so I'm licensed as social worker. What bring me in the field? It just somehow happened. I felt that this is that's what I want to do, and I feel like this. I actually find my place, and this is what I really want to do, and this is what I'm good with.
Got you. So, Bible, so coming over like within the states and getting adapted to an environment that you didn't know, what drove you to help people that were in crime infested areas and things like that?
Right. So, as a owner of a mental health agency, before I became one, I saw that there's lack of resources. The people don't have enough information. There's not enough help, especially in maybe the areas where people are struggling financially. The rough areas where people. Um, are in a lack of the help, and sometimes for them it feels like there is nobody, and that's it, that this is my life, this homelessness, that's all, that's the best what I can get out of my life. And I feel like I have this power to prove it wrong, and I just took it.
Wow, 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 powerful. So, with your experience, with you doing your schooling and everything, how can mental health and life experiences impact somebody's behavior?
hmm So I have been saying this often that if mental health are not treated in a time or is ignored, any kind of issues, with the time it becomes an actual disaster. Let's say a little episode of the depression. From being sad, people go to isolating themselves. And the depression is still not treated from isolating themselves. So obviously they're losing their friends, their family, they lose interest of themselves, um, so they lose the job, and that's where the disasters start because they don't have the stability. They might lose the housing, they don't have a car, they don't have a food, they become homeless. So that's what is happening, that's how the behavior is changing when the mental health issues are in charge. And that's
Gotcha.
only one of the probably millions of the examples I could give, but that's one of the most of popular, unfortunately.
One of the most. Wow, wow. So, with people going through a lot of trauma, in life, in prison, a lot of things they go through mentally, um, with these violent behaviors, we know a lot of us um, we deal with like anger issues. We deal with a lot of, again, past traumas. How does that lead to violence in the way it do?
Yeah, and that's interesting that you asked me this question because recently I had this case where the lady from long-term abusive relationship, she became the abuser. She became that person who ended up in the jail because she was protecting herself from the abuser, and she severely hurt him. And this is the things I think we really have to talk about. How important is to get out of these situations which might lead with jail, with courts and all those criminal situations.
Hmm.
So if somebody been in a, let's say, in survival mode for a very long time, the anger just
So,
it's not going nowhere, it's staying
mhm,
there. And honestly, it have to go somewhere. The people have to express themselves, and there's nothing wrong to be angry. It's just the way how you express your anger. But
mhm,
in very intense situations, people just lose the control, especially when you've been abused for so long time and you've been holding it in and you've been hiding from your friends and family. And then this last drop is coming in your cup and you just lose the control.
well, so let me ask you this, because a lot of times you may hear a lot in life that if a person hasn't been through what I've been through, why should I listen to them? A lot of times, individuals say, well, this person may have a college degree, but she didn't grow up in the hood. Or this person may been to school for 10, 20 years, but they can't relate to my situation.
Mm-hmm.
But try to give us an example of how to be open minded towards an individual that may not come from your background, but can kind of help you cope with certain things. Me, I find it to be a hard process if
Mm-hmm.
somebody hasn't been through what I've been through. Because
Mm-hmm.
let's just let's face it, like for instance, a woman gives childbirth, right? A man can never know what that type of pain feels like.
Right.
The same if I've been in prison for a lot of years, somebody that hasn't been there will never know what it feels like.
Right.
Unless you've been through it, how can you relate? So show us, how should we open up our minds a little bit into being receptive of
Mm-hmm.
someone like yourself helping us?
Right. And you are absolutely right. I was not in your shoes and I don't know how did that feel. But everybody come from different backgrounds. And there's really very, very several life stories where the lives being just unicorns and rainbows. Everybody experiences something. And I do believe that everybody have something in their life happening you can relate. And I always say, what color is pain? What nationality is pain?
Mm,
Um, Pain is pain. It hurts.
right.
Different things hurts differently for different people, but it still hurts. And I think that is what united us. We all are human. We all struggle with something.
Mhm,
And that's where we should come from. Just remember when you were struggling, yes, the situation was completely different, right?
mhm,
But
mhm.
you were struggling. How did that felt for you? How hopeless you felt at that moment? That's how I do approach my client. Like, I kind of understand what you are saying. Yes, I was not in that situation, but I know how the hopelessness feels. I know how the loneliness feels. All these things,
Wow,
that's commune.
wow, and I think you bring up a good point, because in a lot of ways we do have to respect culture. We do have to respect people. We have to respect a person for who they are.
Right.
Not what they've been through or whatever the case may be. Even though it's a hard thing to get over, but as you said, pain doesn't have a color. Hurt doesn't have a certain character or characteristic. It just
Exactly.
is. Inevitables happen to everybody. Ups and
Right.
downs happen to everybody. Same way bullets doesn't have a name on it. It's like in so many ways we try to place some type of wall up just to have an excuse of not being counseled or being mentored to or receiving that type of therapy in which we should be seeking. Even though it can be a battle, it can be a battle, but we should still be open to that. And I tell individuals that all the time. We should be open or just to hear and be a little receptive to certain things. What do you think about that?
Yes, that's true. And I think this works to the both sides. Unfortunately, still we have the stigma, and we are still circling around the stigma back and forwards.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, as you said, that somebody might feel like, oh, okay, I don't think that she will understand or he will understand my pain because I've been going through so many things. But when we are sitting here and talking with you, you look at me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think you see my life story. You see my face, my hair color, my eye color, my office in my
Mm-hmm.
background. You don't really see my actual emotional background, things been happening in my life. And this
Wow.
is another thing, people with the depression. They look happy, they are fine, they are all bubbly, and after a couple days they attempt to do a suicide. So
Wow.
that's another label. So and same thing with the people who have a power to help others, but they are finding this little
Mm-hmm.
excuse, as you said, to not do it
Mm-hmm.
because I don't know. Oh, I'm just one person. What it will change if I will ask the little man there why he's homeless? What is
Mm-hmm.
that going to change? But I feel like if everybody would once in a life would do that, world would look a little bit different in a
It will
good
look a
way.
little bit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, if you could encourage some people right now to getting resources to where you're located. Now, the good thing is you're actually located over in Chicago.
Yes,
Now, there's individuals that actually watch this broadcast. They actually view it. They share with others as well. But in what ways could they get in contact with you, your office, or even other resources that's located over there?
absolutely. So yes, again, we are day by day solutions home.
Mm-hmm.
We do provide individual therapy, couple therapy, group therapy, family therapy, parenting coaching, domestic violence class. What else we do have? So pretty much wide service range. We are located in Orland Park. We are DCFS approved. So I think we really have the power to help people who are struggling with the mental health issues.
Mm, powerful, powerful.
And
And
mhm,
mhm. Oh, go
sorry.
ahead. I'll let you go. I'm sorry.
And we do work with a wide range of the age. We do work with the kids. We do work with a wide range of the diagnosis. So we are very, very open to new clients, new friendships, um, new
Hmm.
new partners.
Hmm. Wow. So now I want you to touch. Before I continue, let me give a shout out to some of the individuals. This brought to you by the Reentry Connect broadcast. Brought to you by GPS Transportation. Great transportation, 5 star. You guys are looking for some good transporting in the city of Philadelphia, tri-state, wherever they go above and beyond. Wheelchair accessible party buses, 15 passengers, private transportation for kids. Feel free to contact that website there on the screen. And also the phone number 215-774-9913. Also, shout out to One Day at a Time, old dad, Mr. Mel Wells. Yes, he's one of the influential parties here in the city. He has a big organization that helps with reentry support, drug recovery, so many different a host of things and resources. Feel free to contact that number on the screen, 215-226-7860. Again, shout out to Mel Wells, One Day at a Time. Back to the show, Miss Baiba. Yes, Miss Baiba, I just want to know now, I know you mentioned before that you dealt with the reentry housing. Now, out of everybody in the world, like I know you could have dealt with regular tenants, people that hasn't been incarcerated. Like, what is the experience like And or what did you feel
Mhm.
when you did want to rent to people that had a felony, had a record? How did you feel when you first got into the reentry housing?
Right. And again, before this idea came up, I saw it as a big lack of the resource for the people who are actually willing to try over. And I feel like everybody does deserve second chance, and maybe even third and fourth, because sometimes we need to try and fall and get up again and try again.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like that's really lack of the resource, and that's one of the reasons why people go back in the jail, why they became homeless, because it's really hard for them to find a place to stay. It's really hard, and even they are hardworking, even they are getting their things together, they are uh, actually being really successfully reintegrated back in the community, but the living situation is the one which sometimes push them back.
Pushes them back. So now, when you first brought individuals into your residence or to your house
Hmm.
or your recovery house or transitional house, how did you feel? Did you feel as though that they were going to meet their rent? They were going to be able to sustain your property? Or did you think they were going to tear it up and act a fool and not pay their rent and give you a hard time? How did you feel during that time?
Of course, the first thoughts sometimes are not the most positive, but I think every time when somebody decides to do something like that, they have to understand that not everything might go perfect. And even with the regular tenants, we never know who we let in a property. The regular
Mm,
tenant with the great backgrounds, you know what? We have those experiences as well, right? But
yes.
sometimes I feel the people who actually starting everything over, they really have this motivation to not fail themselves, to not fail the people who are trusting them, and just build their life from the scratch.
Yeah, yeah, and I totally agree with you. And most times people overlook that a lot of individuals that come home from spending a lot of time in prison, a lot of them are usually structured type of people. But the ones who spent like literally like over 20 years, they have somewhat of an idea of what structure is.
Yeah,
So if they know, hey, I don't have nothing else to lean on but this living quarters. I don't
right.
have family to run to but this living quarters here at this transitional housing. I'm going to do everything in my will to keep a good relationship with the actual landlord and the actual house that I'm staying in. For the simple fact is they know that if they go without that, they'll land up in a shelter.
Right.
They'll land up homeless. And worst case scenario, they'll probably land back in prison. But I spoke to a brother named Kurt Danish that was on there. And actually, he's by Tomorrow's Neighbor. Um, he actually spoke about that, like how more of a focus on people that did the long term that you can really kind of trust in a way. Same thing with even with employment. A lot of times people, this is the only opportunities that they have. So they have to take advantage of it and make the best of it. So so that's very good. I really appreciate you even, taking that initiative to even helping people versus even just regular people, and that's very good. But I got another question for you though. How would a person who struggles to ask for help or someone who is in lack of resources get the help that they need? Because it's a
Mhm.
lot of that that goes on.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think when you recognize that something is not usual you, that something is off,
Mm-hmm.
that you are struggling with something. People sometimes are really focused on what I don't have. Oh, I don't have enough money. I don't. My car is not working. I don't have my job. I cannot go there and I cannot do this. So I think the really good way is how to help yourself at the very first step. Recognize what you do have, you know, what you can do, what is your skills, how your skills can help you in this current situation. there's not enough money. How can I make money tomorrow, today? Like, to just
Mhm.
make the ends meet today. And little baby steps, that's already helps a lot. If you provide yourself for this current day, that's great. That's a lot.
That's a
So
lot.
you learn, and tomorrow you will do better. That is not enough money. What can I do? I don't know, shovel the snow, for
Mhm.
somebody and get
Mhm.
my $20 in my pocket.
Mhm.
So you just explore your own current resource. When you get yourself in that place, when you are stable with yourself, but you still feel that something is missing, like I cannot completely provide myself, or I still need things and services, then you look around what your community have, what your neighbors can offer or recommend for you to do. You go to your doctor, what the doctor, your social worker, especially if your landlord is a social worker, which is me. So that's that's how you start to recover yourself from the situation you are in.
Mm. Gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. And that's cool. And like, I know it always stems back to the word of pride. A lot of us deal with pride and don't want
Yeah,
to seek that type of assistance or help. But sometimes the truth is the truth. If you need help, you need help. You
right.
gotta be the first to say, look, I need help. Hey, I need assistance. Because you never know who you'll run into and who that person may know.
Exactly.
And that's what happens. And but so many people they miss and skip opportunities due to the pride that they carry on their shoulders. So
Absolutely.
you know, so Ms. Baiba, if you can share just a little bit more for some of the viewers over in Chicago, so you have your own office space and everything, your business, which is Day by Day Solutions LLC. And we know you going to some of the treacherous parts in Chicago. You're not on some little outskirts. You're not a little suburban woman.
No.
You know what I mean? You're intense. You're in depth. You don't care how people look at you. You get up in the mix. So again, if somebody wanted to contact you, I
Mhm.
know you're based in Chicago. How could they do so? And what type of services are you going to offer once again?
Okay, so yes, so again, you can call us 708-738-6712,
Mhm.
which is our office phone on the office hours. So also you can send an email to daybydaysolutionsllc@gmail.com. So if
Mhm.
for any of questions, concerns, whatever we can do for you. Again, we do offer individual, group, family therapy. We do have parenting classes, domestic violence classes. Uh, so we do provide online service in person here in Orland Park. We also do the DCFS cases with therapy wise.
Mhm.
So we are DCFS approved, and also we have a mobile service for, especially for the little ones. It's really hard to keep the 4 years old on a screen and try to
Mhm.
do this therapy because they obviously cannot focus. For the adults sitting there for looking at the screen 60 minutes, not
Mhm.
always the easiest part, right?
Mhm.
So yes, we do have mobile services, especially for the kids after school hours, after work hours, and sometimes in the weekends as well as needed. We do crisis interventions as well.
Okay. Crisis intervention. So, do they have a special call and number for the crisis intervention as well?
So
Or
yeah,
no?
as far as a crisis intervention, it's for our clients which are already involved. So if my case is open, something happens, and somebody needs a hospitalization, as a minimum, I will be there on the phone. But as needed, we will be there in the person as well.
Oh wow, that's great.
Yeah,
That's
and
great.
so my partner in the business, she really lately been focusing on that. She been practicing that, and she been
Mhm.
dealing greatly with really difficult situations.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And that's a wonderful thing. I really appreciate all this information, Ms. Bible. And if there is one thing that you can share to individuals, not just in Chicago, but anywhere, about how extremely important it is of how the mental health has a huge impact. But however, seeking the assistance of a professional can really be life changing. What would you say?
I would say that the difference between physical pain and emotional pain is that physical pain you can explain. If something is broken and bleeding, everybody can see that. But if you are hurting inside, you are the only one who have power of that to tell somebody, to seek for the help, to try to improve yourself. And please believe, if somebody is telling you, I'm here to help you, I'm here to talk about whatever is hurting you, then they mean it. And if there is those phone numbers outside, not only the day by day phone number you see on the screen, but any hotlines, any crisis centers, they are there for the people. And you know, not that person is not strong who are just sitting and trying to figure everything out by themselves. The power is to ask for help.
Power is to ask for help. And Ms. Baiba, we thank you so much here at the Reentry Connect podcast, Mental Health Impact. Ms. Baiba, we really appreciate it. And we know that we're definitely going to have you on in the near future with some round tables where you can give a lot of your input. I'm so happy that have connections with a therapist. You know what I mean? That can relate, that understands. You have a lot of knowledge. We spoke before, and I appreciate you, pouring into me and telling me a lot of different ways, a lot of understandings, and certain ways that I didn't even know about. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I know everything, but I know some things. But you
Absolutely.
really enlightened me with a lot of things. So without further ado, we coming to an end of the Reentry Connect podcast. Again, shout out to gpstransportation.net, 215-774-9913. Any luxury transport, any type of wheelchair service, you need your family to get to the hospital, whatever you want, always contact them. Mention the Reentry Connect podcast. You'll be sure to get a special discount. So remember to tune in. Another thing, shout out to Old Dad, One Day at a Time, Mr. Mel Well, 215-226-7860. Be sure they have a lot of different resources, reentry support, recovery support, a lot of different things. I'm telling you, if you need help, reach out to these organizations. And without further ado, Ms. Biden, we thank you for having you. Again, your information is here on the bottom of the screen. Day by Day Solutions LLC at gmail.com. You can email or our phone number 708-738-6712. Yes, we were here. And Ms. Baiba, until next time, let's see everybody.